All right, all right, all right. It is the Titan post-game live, a final score of 20-13, and this is going to be an interesting show. Easton, I see that you are currently watching the Giants and Colts, as I'm sure a lot of our audience is.
That's right. I am here in name only right now. My mind is on the Giants.
We had who is this? Wan'Dale Robinson just making a big play, getting the ball all the way down inside the 10-yard line for the New York Giants, who currently lead by 2 with a 1st and goal. Now, why does any of this matter? Well, the Titans have lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They fall to 3-13. We will talk all about this game, what we saw from the Titans. But, Easton, I warned everybody at halftime, bigger picture, the takeaway of this game is going to matter depending on whatever happens in this Giants game. The Titans, as of this very second, have the 3rd overall pick in the draft.
Right.
If the Giants win, they will go to the 2nd overall pick, picking only behind the New England Patriots. So a lot to get to between Titans and Jaguars, as well as we will keep up live with Colts and Giants as this game unfolds. But Easton, before we jump into all of it, tell everybody what to do.
Yeah, gotta like the show. I know that the vast majority of Titans fans today came into this one hoping the Titans would find a way to lose. They did. Boy, did they try not to there at the end. Sam, this was the most nervy final
witching
minutes.
Hour, man. What a witching hour.
We've not had a lot of nervy witching hours this season here covering the Titans. So this one was it was nice to be back in the nervous mindset. And it was an exciting ending. Got the result that most people wanted. The Titans finding a way to lose, keeping the tank alive. And so we need everybody to like the show, like they like the Titans managing to lose the game. So help Sam and I out, like the show for us. You know the drill. When it's Sam and I, we get fired if we don't get enough likes. So help us keep our jobs by hitting that thumbs up button. Join us in the comments like Ken, Robbie, Jonathan, Amar, Steven, Julius, and others. We want to hear you guys, your thoughts on the Titans continuing to maintain their tank status as we get rolling on today's post-game show. And we will, of course, keep you up to date. If you're wanting to watch this and also worried about don't worry. We will update with anything that happens in this Giants game as it happens.
Yes. All right. Well, it's 3rd and goal right now for the New York Giants. I'll be giving you an update on that momentarily. But first, going to thank all of our partners here as we head in the door on this afternoon. X Golf Nashville and now in Murfreesboro as well, the home of indoor golf in Middle Tennessee. X Golf, play, train, and entertain at playxgolf.com. BetMGM, log in today to get your Pro Football Boost Pack to acquire tokens for more winnings. BetMGM is an official partner of the Tennessee Titans. T-Dot, be part of the solution to end littering and make sure nobody trashes Tennessee by visiting nobodytrashestennessee.com. Easton, 20-13, the final score in this game. The Titans fall to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and Drew Lock has just scrambled for a touchdown to put the New York Giants ahead by 2 scores.
Where were you for the Drew Lock legacy game? My goodness.
Drew Lock legacy game. He's got 309 yards and 4 touchdowns on 17 of 23 passing. He just added a rushing touchdown.
The Colts are such a sorry team.
So it's happened, right? Like I'm
calling it.
Barring a miracle from, let's make sure this extra point goes through for the Good Giants real quick. But
hold that thought.
There it is, 42-33. So barring a miracle here from the Colts where they get 2 scores in 3 minutes, the Titans are going to have the 2nd overall pick as of week 18. You are 1 loss away now from potentially picking right at the top of the draft. So the way that this has unfolded has been ideal for the future, but like a seismic shift in the future of the Tennessee Titans this afternoon. Like we were potentially looking at bridge quarterback. We were potentially looking at sign Sam Darnold. We were potentially looking at, do you settle for Cam Ward? All of those things were questions. And of course, this draft order is not final. The way that the draft plays out is not final. We will see what the deal is with the Titans and the quarterbacks, but it is looking really, really promising right now that the Tennessee Titans will have a chance to draft either Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward or Travis Hunter. One of your top guys will be wearing 2-tone blue next year. That is a really exciting and cool thing that, I'm not sure I thought we would be there so often throughout the season.
No.
Easton, I'm all over the place. Where do we want to start? Do we want to talk about the draft repercussions? Do we want to talk about the game itself? I mean,
no, let's start with the draft repercussions. Because like I said at the top of today's proceedings in our pregame show, Sam, the reason why I wasn't going to be devastated if the Titans won this game, I told you, was because I felt like it was still really unlikely, even if the Titans managed to lose out, they wouldn't be in the catbird seat to get the first quarterback off the board, because
this changes everything.
It changes everything for, I mean, listen, team content is up today, first of all. So you and I and everybody whose job it is to cover this team, we're about as up right now as we've been all year. And then for fans, this is a really exciting time, because here's the deal. I'm going to preach patience when it comes to, well, first of all, the Titans still have to lose another game. So like let's wait and see if
you don't want to do the week 18 disaster where you beat the Texans.
Right,
I mean, that would be.
Exactly. And shout out, massive shout out to the Ravens, by the way, for putting the Texans in position to probably want to play hard and play their starters in this week 18 game. We'll break all that down this week. But the reason why I was not going to be devastated is because I didn't think they'd get to this position, and where they are about to be, assuming there's no miracle in this
Joe
Giants
Flacco
game,
just got intercepted. So that game's over.
That's over. All right. So they are going to officially end today as the second overall pick, but that doesn't matter. What matters is they are in the QB1 position, right? Because the Patriots, barring some team, and I just don't, you never know, but I do not see this draft class being the one necessarily where somebody's going to sell the farm with the Patriots to go up to that number 1 overall pick. We'll talk about all that as well, but
it would be dangerous for the Patriots to even do so. Like, even if it is a team that's picking 3rd, 4th, 5th, whatever it is, I also think it's good, by the way, the Raiders are about to win a football game as well.
Yep.
So the Raiders and Giants are both winning, which means that it will not just be Patriots Titans. It will be Patriots Titans followed by Browns in that 3rd spot. And so, you are now making life a lot more difficult for teams that are trying to come up. And I think the Patriots far less likely to trade down to the 4th, 5th spot in the draft when they probably have their eyes on a Travis Hunter. That would make the most sense for the Patriots at where they're sitting in the draft. But even if it was Giants picking 3rd, Raiders picking 3rd, and that team was trying to go up from 3 to 1, if you're the Patriots, you're risking jumping down. The Titans quarterback gets taken first, and so the Titans pivot and take the guy that you want if you're New England. It feels unlikely as we sit here today that the Patriots would do anything other than stick and pick at 1st overall. And if that is the case, like you said, you're in the QB1 spot picking 2nd, and that is all you can ask for.
I also keep forgetting, like, the Patriots very well may win next week. Like, the Bills murdered the Jets today. They have nothing to play for next week. Josh Allen and company starters probably going to sit. Drake May is perfectly capable of beating the Bills backups. So the Titans could have the number 1 overall pick, and then it really is their pick of the litter. I will say this. It's important not just, from a quarterback standpoint, that's one thing for sure. But what I think it does is give the Titans brass flexibility. It gives them a breath of fresh air, because listen, they may just hate this quarterback class. Like, they have not done their full due diligence on it yet. Just because you and I and others think that this is a 1 quarterback class, they may not feel that way. Being up there still gives them the opportunity to compare. It's that opportunity cost we talked about earlier in the year, Sam. The ability to say, okay, what would a Shedeur Sanders look like as compared to Derek Carr, as compared to Cooper Rush, or paying a gajillion dollars for Sam Darnold? These other subpar options. It gives you the room to navigate the offseason and not press, not do something desperate, not do something foolish that might set you up for failure going forward.
It gives you all of the control and all of the leverage in any negotiation that you're having. And so, yes, it's not only is it Sanders versus Carr, Cousins, Darnold, whoever, and you're doing that comparison. You're doing, okay, well, would we rather have Shedeur Sanders, or would we rather have Derek Carr, or would we rather have Sam Darnold on a 5-year, I don't even know, $160 million, $180 million contract? So we signed Sam Darnold to a 5-year deal, but we can now take Shedeur Sanders. We can now trade the draft pick. We can now, assemble a first rounders, 2 firsts in 2026, 2 firsts in 2027, like get a slew of picks to trade down. It gives you all of these options. The simplest, of course, is drafting the quarterback and, getting that fresh start for your organization at the most important position in all of professional sports. But it does, I guess, and like we've seen teams do this in recent history with success. When you look at a team like the Bears and what they did when they had that first overall pick, they chose to stick with Justin Fields for one more year. It worked out beautifully for the Bears to then still get number 1 overall and the chance to get their quarterback while also adding players and picks and players and picks. The Bears are still reaping the benefits of that trade now. Like, they will have a second round pick from the Carolina Panthers in the 2025 draft from a deal they made 2 or 3 years ago for the number 1 pick. The Titans could do something similar and end up in a really, great spot. So this was a great day. Titans fans, the loss is unfortunate. It's never great to have an NFL Sunday where your team looks pathetic. Of course, this was a brilliant NFL Sunday for the Tennessee Titans. And I think, it just does a lot for the organization moving forward. So
maybe now we talk about the actual game.
Yeah, we can talk about the actual game. I guess one of the things that stood out to me, Easton, which I'll probably write a little thing on later today, really unfortunate for Tajay Spears.
Yeah, man.
Because Tajay Spears had a great game, had 95 yards, actually jumped up over 100 rushing yards in the third quarter of this game, was like looking at like having a career day. He has never been given the opportunity as an entire NFL career to really be the number 1 back. He had that today. And then he loses 5 yards on a rush, goes out with a concussion, doesn't return, has that milestone taken away from him. But also, we'll see his status for week 18. And like, it could be Julius Chestnut and whoever else at running back for the Titans in the final game of the season. So an unfortunate series of events for Tajay Spears. Mason Rudolph showed a lot more life in the second half, made some good throws. Calvin Ridley woke up a little bit, but ultimately, in a not very entertaining second half because it was 2 really long possessions. The Titans go down, do an 8-minute and 9-second touchdown drive to open the second half. The Jaguars then get the ball and they go 9 minutes and 11 seconds for a touchdown. The Titans then kick a field goal, taking up 5 minutes, and we're basically at the end of the game.
Yeah. I mean, that was it. I came into this game worried about lightning delays and weather delays and whether or not we'd be doing this post-game show at 6 p.m. And thank goodness we aren't. But yeah, it was a clean game, a quick game. It really, I want to talk about, because we said coming in, it'd be a lose-lose. We'd have some people mad if they won because they ruined the tank. And we'd have some people mad if they lost because you lose to the lousy Jaguars. You get swept by the Mac Jones Jaguars. A bad look. The reason why I personally am rather unbothered by this performance, number one, my primary objective was for them to lose. So like, I'm happy no matter what because they lost the game. But number two, from a, Brian Callahan coaching staff process going forward, the defense was pretty dreadful given the circumstances. We expected that, right? I mean, we talked about this pregame with who they were missing,
totally,
with the people they had on the field. I'm not really sure what people expected from that. So for the Jaguars to ultimately, and it's not like they got, it's not like the Jaguars put 40 on their foreheads like the Bills did to the Jets. They scored 20 points, right? They scored 2 touchdowns. The offense, for their part, you had Mason Rudolph's noodle arm trying to drive the ball through a largely pouring rain during the game.
Mason Rudolph had a very Mason Rudolph game. 193, a touchdown, right, and a pick. Did a little bit with his legs when he needed to, kept you in the ball game, never made a play to win you the ball game. It was a very Mason Rudolph game.
Yeah, he was exactly what we know him to be. So like, that part doesn't subvert my expectations. And then I was pleasantly surprised by their ability to run the ball without Tony Pollard, the way that Tajay Spears played. You then lose him for the most important part of the end of the game in terms of important trying to win the game. You don't have him on the last couple of drives. When you really could have used what was probably the Titans' best offensive player all day long. You're playing behind a skeleton crew, 3/5 of the offensive line, not in the either backups or not in their correct position. It's an ugly, muddy game. Like, I don't know. Maybe I am, being an unfair optimist about this, Sam, and you can call me out, but I don't see this as the kind of game where I point to the Brian Callahan regime and say, yet another lousy mark on their record and a reason why they should be fired at the end of the year.
I certainly don't either. I don't look at this as like a anti-Brian Callahan game. If I look at it as anything, it's an anti-regime game in the sense that this is a bad roster. This is a really bad roster. Yes, it's a banged up roster, but I mean, it's a roster that lacked a lot of depth to begin with. I think my biggest criticism of the Brian Callahan, Rand Carthon regime this year is not anything necessarily on the field with what they've done, play calling wise or whatever else. It's the fact that they spent over $200 million on this roster. Like he says, a bad roster, WTH. What do you mean? Yeah, it's a horrible roster. This is a terrible, terrible, terrible roster. And I've been saying this for a while. It was a, and we might still disagree on this, but we disagreed on this a lot early in the season. Easton, I don't believe they're a quarterback away. I don't believe they're a quarterback, right tackle, and inside linebacker away.
Yeah, we do disagree on that.
I think they have a lot of problems and things that they don't do well and very little that they actually do excel at. And we see that each and every week. And so when you take a roster that was already bad, already struggling to win games, that had moments of good quarterback play that wasn't complemented well enough by the rest of the roster, and now you make it banged up and add Mason Rudolph and a backup running back and no inside linebackers and no safeties, like, yeah, you're going to lose football games. This is not like today was not on Brian Callahan. It's on how banged up you are and your roster building as a whole, and the fact that this is just not a good team.
Yeah, we do see that a little differently. I don't think this is a dreadful roster so much as it is a stars and scrubs build, and they have lost the stars that made them they are a very flimsy top versus bottom when you have to lean on the depth at all. This team shows you that they don't have the depth you need to be able to sustain football play.
My issue with the roster, and this is obviously, again, in typical Sam and Easton fashion, we're getting into like an offseason big picture topic.
Right.
I don't think they have stars. Like they have the Titans stars are not stars relative to the rest of the NFL. They have good players. They have above average players, and they're missing a lot of those guys, and that has hurt them. But I think one of their issues is that they're paying guys to be stars who are not playing like stars. And so even your top end talent is not game changing top end talent as much as it is just solid top end talent.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with just the circumstances. I think these guys that you think maybe stars in name only, you put them on an average to above average team in the NFL, and they become household name level stars from a stat sheet standpoint and reputation standpoint. But whether or not you want to quibble with whether they're stars or just really good players, the point is they have, on paper, their roster is built of like exactly 20, 21, 22 good to great players. And then everybody below them that, the ugly face of the past 5 years of drafting, the end of the John Robinson era of drafting shows itself because this team does not have that homegrown depth. They are from a roster building depth standpoint, they're behind the 8 ball and trying to play makeup through the draft and through free agency. And they have found some guys this season that, again, a super off-season topic that I won't get into, but this is the first time I felt like they have found a couple of quality depth guys that can stick around and be a part of that foundation, but not nearly enough. And I think a day like today shows you just how deficient they are when it comes to needing guys that can back up and play decent football.
Yeah. Well, as the chat is pointing out here, the Giants are final against the Indianapolis Colts by a score of 45-33. The Giants improved to 3-13, which evens them up with the Tennessee Titans, of course. And so if we look at the projected NFL draft order, the Titans are to number 2, which makes it a great time to ask for one word, as we do after every Titans game. What is one word to describe this Titans loss to the Jaguars? What is one word to describe this Titans loss to the Jaguars? Let us hear it in the chat while you guys let us know how you're feeling about that Titans game. I guess, Easton, how are you feeling? What is your one word if you were doing a one word for this game?
I think my one word, the way that I feel in my heart right now, pretty serendipitous, I think is the way that I feel. I did not, I told you at the pregame, I was dreading today. I felt like today was going to be a very negative, exhausting, emotional day for us. I'm about as happy right now as I possibly could have been for the Giants to surprise us all and win, for the Titans to lose the way that they did, for the draft positioning to shake out the way that it did, about everything. And the Titans didn't, get thoroughly embarrassed by any means. I couldn't really ask for anything else. So serendipity is how I am feeling right now. The happiest I've felt after a Titans game in a good long while, and certainly the happiest I've been about a Titans loss, and I couldn't tell you how long.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the chat probably sums it up in all the words that we would expect: hopeful, encouraging, promising, joyous, unsurprising, Shadur, needed. We got one negative word with disaster, alleviating. We've got some negative coming in now. Garbage, but optimistic, victory, good, planned, quarterback, refreshing. We got a losers coming in. We got beneficial, fantastic. People, I think, overall very excited. I think I will say, I'm trying to think which way I want to go.
Oh, multiple directions here?
I will go. Well, no, I know which direction. I'm just trying to figure out what the word is going to be. And I have it. Clarity is my number one word.
Sure.
Clarity. I feel like today we have clarity on what this is going to look like for the Titans. I can start to see it coming into place. My issue, the emotional turmoil, just the way I've been racking my brain and shrugging my shoulders anytime anybody asks me about this team for the last few months, has been directed on this idea of, well, do you keep Will Levis? Do you not keep Will Levis? I don't know. If you don't keep Will Levis, what do you do at quarterback? I don't know, because you're not going to have a pick to get him, but I also don't want to pay Sam Darnold, and I don't like any of the bridge quarterbacks as an option. Do you fire the new regime or do you keep the new regime? I don't know. It was a lot of I don't know. I don't see where the future is coming from. And we're getting shockingly close to that new stadium that the Titans want to be, shiny and competitive for in 2027. So it's all very cloudy. And for the first time right now, I feel like we have clarity that the Tennessee Titans are going to draft a quarterback in the draft. I believe that, full stop. I will say that right now. I will call that. There will be people, Buck Rising,
who will tell you,
Buck Rising will tell you that even if they have the number one pick, they're going to trade down because they hate all the quarterbacks in this draft. And he has that on good authority.
Craziness.
They're going to take a quarterback. I feel good about that. As long as they lose next week, like you said, and take care of business. And there is your future. There is your guy to build around. You can now, what the window is of trying to compete. And it makes a lot of sense. Now you've started to add some talent. You've started to build a supporting cast around a quarterback who's going to be on a rookie contract. The direction has never been more clear. And so I have clarity. That's a good thing. All I've been asking for from the Titans this year and in general is a clear-cut direction to go at the quarterback position, is alignment of the organization when you look at the staff and who's calling the shots and holding people accountable. And I think they have a chance to do all of that right now. So it's a very good day.
Yeah, I definitely resonate with clarity. In our position, we're sitting around thinking, okay, when's the right time to write the 5 quarterbacks the Titans could target this offseason article? When's the right time to grade the Titans quarterback options on the morning show? And to not necessarily be in a position to have to do that anymore, again, barring the Titans finding a way to win in week 18, which the more I sit here and think about it, the more the terror creeps up inside me, but we'll attack that when we get there.
I'm already terrified. I'm going to
wearing the Oilers jerseys.
Dude, I'm wearing my best suit to Nissan Stadium next week. I am going.
You're going to dress in funeral attire for the
rest of the night. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Maybe that's a good idea.
You should dress for the Titans.
I'm going to dress in all black, and I'll do a black turtleneck with a black suit. I will go all black, wearing it to the funeral of the Titans Shadur Sanders era, 1 week from December 29th, 2024 to Sunday, January 4th or whatever it is, 2025. Yeah. RIP the era. So I'm going to prep for it.
Okay. Yeah. That's probably the best to be mentally prepared for it. But again, to be able to talk about, and I'm not 100% with you. I'm like, I don't know, 83% with you on they're going to draft a quarterback. Just because Buck's report notwithstanding, which is a thing that we don't have to sit here and talk about. I get that he's just saying what he's heard. I just think what he's heard is bogus.
I would agree.
There is a chance that once the team actually does the due diligence, which they have not done yet, once they actually go through the guys, they decide, nah, not for us. Or actually, there's an opportunity for us in free agency that we like better. There's a chance. It's not a
There's
great
a chance. There's a chance. It's a minute chance. And the other, and like, I think that it's such a small chance because I think Brian Callahan and Brand Carthon are not dumb. They know that if they are retained, they're on the hot seat still. Like if you are retained,
Rappaport's article said it, right?
Right.
Like, we see the underlying things which are great this year. Next year, they better. The article literally essentially said next year those things better translate to wins.
Yeah, you are under pressure to win next year.
Yep.
Now, I think 6-11 or whatever, or 6-11, 7-10 next year with Shedeur Sanders as a young rookie quarterback paints a much different picture for Miss Amy than 6-11, 7-10 does with Derek Carr or Kirk Cousins at quarterback.
It does.
And if you are Brian Callahan and Rand Carthon and you're opting to not draft a quarterback and you're picking second or first overall in the draft, I mean, you better feel damn good about your ability to build a winner.
You better win early.
Your livelihood depends on winning early and often.
Yeah.
So I think, they're more likely than not going to end up, grabbing. Plus, the thing that I got to say, and I'm so excited for the offseason already with what the chat has talked about during the course of the show, because the chat is already, everybody's got 18 different opinions about what the Titans should do with their pick, which will make for a great entertaining offseason and draft conversation. And for you and I, Easton, will make the NFL Combine a lot of fun. We'll make the, make the Senior Bowl a lot of fun, all of that stuff. The one thing that I think people forget, you don't get to pick second or first overall all that often.
It's really hard to.
This idea that I've already seen in the chat of like, well, not this year. It's not a good quarterback class. You don't know when you're going to be here again. You don't know when you're going to pick first overall. That Bears scenario that I talked about where you trade number one and get number one the next year because the team that you traded it to happens to suck again. That's an anomaly, people. Like that's rare that you can win.
It's never happened. It happened one time. It was 2 years ago.
But like just in general, the Jaguars did it where they picked first overall. They took a quarterback and then they still picked first overall the next year.
Right.
Good for them. It doesn't happen very often. And so if you are the Titans right now, you have to understand that if you're like, this is a unique spot and what you do will obviously decide the fate of Brian Callahan and Rand Carthon. Assuming that they are the ones making this pick, what you do with this pick will determine your future as a GM and as a head coach. And for Miss Amy, what you do with this pick will probably determine where your organization is at when you open that new stadium and how successful they are.
Right. Absolutely. The last thing I'll say is, I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat. And again, we won't go long down this road because we are going to beat this horse to a pulp between now and April. But the reason why, two big reasons why we're talking about Shedeur as the guy and not just QB1, which I'm seeing people say, why are you so sure it's Shedeur? Why are you out on Cam Ward? Why do you think
that is a preference of Easton and I both, where we both prefer Shedeur Sanders. Maybe the Titans do prefer Cam Ward and they take Cam Ward at number 2.
They will not. And I'll tell you why.
But they could.
They theoretically
could. They probably will not because we know what Brian Callahan likes in his quarterbacks and it is not what Cam Ward is.
Well, it's not even that, yes, but it's more than that. It's if you were to have to agnostically look at the quarterbacks available in this class not from a talent standpoint, taking talent entirely out of it, but taking account only of play style, strengths, and weaknesses, fit in an offensive scheme. Nobody comes close to what Shedeur Sanders would be for the Brian Callahan offense. He is a hand-in-glove fit. And again, we will break down why that is over the coming days and weeks, I'm sure. But as somebody that's done a decent amount of work on Sanders already, I can tell you that there is no better quarterback fit for the Callahan offense in this draft class than Shedeur Sanders, talent withstanding. He also happens to be the most talented quarterback in the class, but that's a bonus.
Well, one second, we can get back to this and talk a little bit more about everything else. Before we do it, got to tell everybody we got a little bit off the rails here. So don't forget about our friends over at Nobody trashes Tennessee. Be part of the solution to end littering because there's over 88 million pieces of litter on Tennessee's roadways right now. It's a big problem, but we can all be part of the solution. The same way we're hoping the Titans find a solution in the draft. We need a solution for the littering problem. And TDOT helps because they spend over $23 million each year cleaning up litter, but they can't do it alone. You can help by making simple changes. Stop littering, pick up litter when you see it, join local cleanups. Every action counts. Tennessee needs all of us to step up. Visit nobodytrashestennessee.com to get involved and see how you can make a difference. Easton, yes, I am in full agreement with you. As you said, we will have content on content on content about Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward and Travis Hunter and all of these folks at the top of the draft that are in contention for the Titans. I've seen people already advocating for Abdul Carter to be the pick at 2 overall. So there's going to be a lot of conversations that are had from us, from Brian Callahan and Rand Carthon, from the entire NFL world as we focus on the draft. Let's revert back to what we saw today. Once again, we do this at every show, but let's grade the quarterback play. Mason Rudolph finished the day with, what do you have the stat line up handy? I'm trying to pull it up right now. He was 19 for 31, 193 yards, a touchdown, and 1 interception. He almost led that comeback. Mason Rudolph playing well down the stretch almost hurt the Titans. He had 23 rushing yards as well. What grade do you give Mason Rudolph? I'll start it off, Easton. I will give it a big flat C. Maybe C minus. I'll go C minus. C minus.
Sure.
I will go C minus. This was not good enough to even be C. I guess Curtis is actually maybe on the money here with an A. You did great, Mason. You did everything that we wanted you to do.
Understood the assignment, Mason.
This was a class. I'd give him again, Shrike 2, A+, right? We kind of wanted him to suck. A for helping us lose. If I'm just looking football-wise, it's like a C minus. Like I said earlier, it's your typical Mason Rudolph game. It's like, okay. And somebody else said D and who cares? And I kind of agree. I'm like, yep, that checks out. You know, you were a backup quarterback. Mason Rudolph, a good backup, a fine backup quarterback. I won't even say good. He's a fine backup quarterback that should still be in the league next year. And if the Titans brought him back to be the backup for whoever they draft, I would be okay with that. So, what grade do you give him, Easton?
Yeah, C minus for me. Definitely, a game that shows off his inability to drive the ball in the conditions, the lackluster arm, just the limitations as a quarterback. He can do some, but not enough. And today, luckily, it was not enough.
Yeah. We've also got a lot of similar grades coming from the chat. We've got D, C minus. A couple people coming with A for helping us lose. Pistol Ramsey's A says Sanders loading. I'm excited. Like, talk about excitement, man. I'm ready for this fan base to be excited about somebody again. Even the Will Levis hype that started before this year was like, it was 50-50, right? And the people that were in on Levis were in, but like, they kind of knew that they could get hurt. The level of excitement that would exist around the Titans with Shedeur Sanders at quarterback would be a lot of fun to be in Nashville.
Yeah, massive relevance on a national stage.
Just a nationally known player too, like a guy who Shedeur Sanders is a national star, and for him to be a Tennessee Titan would be.
You're gonna be on First Take a whole lot there for a little bit if you got Shedeur Sanders on your team. Now that may not be a good thing for if you want the team to win games, but baby steps here. Relevance is key.
King VZ says, lock in, like the show.
What up, King?
Please do it. Please do it. Like the show as Easton and I revisit our X Factors from before the game. X Factors are brought to you by X Golf Nashville and in Murfreesboro. They've reinvented the player experience with the most accurate indoor golf simulators on the market today, giving you the ability to take on top courses, take on different game formats, and improve your swing with lessons and superior analytics, all while being entertained. I painted the picture for you earlier. I'll do it again. If you want to sit there, watch NFL playoff football, work on your golf game, and improve your swing with analytics and high-tech equipment while drinking a beer and, eating some good food, X Golf is the place to do it. That sounds like a fantastic time to me. Wintertime, where better to play golf, watch football, and drink some good beer than X Golf. So playxgolf.com is where to go for more information. Easton, remind me of your pregame X Factor that you had.
My X factor was putting together a game plan that would work in the conditions. They, there was a drive or two where really that first drive coming out of half, Callahan was in his bag. You saw some of that bespoke stuff that I thought really worked. And then on that final drive, like they had 2 touchdowns to Chigakonko was schemed up, and Mason didn't see one and missed the other. So, so he was pulling the levers.
I was
so nervous. I was really thinking they were going to do it. But yeah, so that was what it was. And I wouldn't give them a pass by any means, because they could have been a lot better than they were, but I'm not going to give really a fail either. I think that it was incomplete on that assignment from me.
Sure. Yeah, I was really looking at the running game, which weirdly was relevant, but I guess not. Maybe I was just dead wrong, because I was really looking at the Titans' ability to run the ball and establish offense, and then their ability to stop the run. They did run the ball with success. Tajay Spears, like I said, was over 100 yards at one point, was over 5 yards per carry at one point. Even Julius Chestnut came in and had 5.7 yards per carry, 3 carries for 17 yards. And they contained the Jaguars' running game. Travis Etienne, 3.3 yards per carry. Tank Bigsby, 3 yards per carry. They combined for 26 carries and 82 rushing yards between the 2 Jaguars running backs. So not a bad job at all by the Titans run defense. I brought it up in the halftime show, but Luke Gifford played his butt off. I thought he, looked really, really strong, had a team leading 8 tackles on the day. So it went well, and you still lost the game. So I guess my X factor, not as much of an X factor as I maybe would have thought it to be beforehand. Let's see. Do we have anything else for the people before we get out of here? I guess we would normally do the AFC South roundup and the AFC playoff contenders. None of that matters. It's really all about the draft right now. So I will do one time. We will give a quick update of tankathon.com before we head out of here. If it will load. Tankathon's being rather difficult. But, I mean, we know the situation, right? So the Tennessee Titans have the number 2 overall pick.
There's way too many Titans fans on Tankathon. They're crashing the site.
They can get number 1 overall if they lose next week to the Houston Texans and the Patriots win at home against the Bengals. Now, the Bengals are not the Bengals, the Bills. Sorry, Buffalo Bills. The Bills are 13-3. The Bills have clinched their seeding. The Bills will likely not play their starters for the game, or at least not for the entire game. If they play the starters, is it to just help the Josh Allen MVP case? That seems like the only real logical.
That's the only thing. Yeah, just stat padding.
Stat pad for Josh Allen. But I mean,
or they can frame it as like, well, we don't want to get rusty and take too much time off or something.
I mean, look at the playoffs though. You got to keep Josh Allen healthy going into the playoffs.
If you lose Josh, your team's cooked. So if nothing else, Josh is not playing. Maybe all 21 other starters are playing, but Josh is not playing, which means it's the it's the Mitch Trubisky show. Is that right? Is he the backup?
Well, Mitch Trubisky threw a 70-yard touchdown today. So,
shout out Mitch.
Let me pull this up though, because I do want to get to the
Hackathon is now up for me now. If you need,
is it all right? Well,
specifically from it,
walk us through the draft order behind the Titans with those 3-4 win teams, because I think this is relevant when we look at teams potentially looking to trade up and where the Titans could position themselves to be in if they accidentally win a football game next week.
Sure. So all of these teams besides the Browns have completed their Week 17 game. So keep in mind the Browns still can win or lose and move themselves. Everybody else is locked in roughly. You've got New England at 1 and Tennessee at 2, the Giants at 3, the Browns at 4. Those are the only 4 3-win teams. So it goes Patriots, Titans, Giants, Browns in that order, all based off of strength of schedule. Then you get to the 4-win teams, starting with the 5th overall pick here, Jacksonville, the Jets, the Panthers, the Raiders, the Bears. That is numbers 5 through 9 in the draft order.
5 through 9 are all 4-win teams. So
correct. So if you get to a 5th win, you are in the double digits. You're at 10. New Orleans is the only 5-win team in the entire league.
Based off of strength of schedule alone, where do the Titans slot between those 4 through 9 4-win teams?
So the projected strength of schedule right now, which it changes here or there based on wins and losses, but the projection with 1 game to go, Titans are at 0.509, which would put them in between Carolina, who is 0.498, just below 500, and Vegas 0.54. So a big gap there. barring a massive. I don't think
which would be what, the 7th spot.
So that would move them to 7.
So a win,
notwithstanding other teams winning or losing, obviously.
So a win next week, again, we're going to have to do the same song and dance, unfortunately. A loss and you are number 2, maybe number 1. A win next week and you potentially pick 7th overall.
Conservatively, you're probably picking 5th best. At best, you're picking 5th if you win next week, probably.
Yeah, but that's being...
That's with another
generous a little bit.
Well, I mean, that's requiring one of the other 6-2 teams. It's requiring 2 of the other 6 teams to win a game, which there are some winnable games on these schedules. So but the point is, like,
you're playing your way
5,
out
6,
of
7.
Not only are you playing your way out of quarterback territory, dropping down to 7. You're playing your way out of Abdul Carter territory. You might be playing your way out of Tet McMillan territory. It all comes down to next week. So Corey says Titans don't mess this up. I will, frankly, be devastated if we did this entire show and we do an entire week of shows coming up on A to Z Sports just for the Titans to,
I'm expecting them to win next week. Like I fully.
We'll deal with that next week. We'll deal with that next week. I'm
just putting it out there.
Enjoy your great NFL
beat
Sunday.
This team
Titans
on the
fans.
road. Just saying.
You got all the help that you needed. It's a good Sunday to be a Titans fan. So enjoy it. Everybody have a great day. Thanks for hopping with us. Don't forget to leave a like on the show before we head out of here. And keep your eyes on A2Zsports.com. Easton and I will be rolling out some Titans post-game content for the rest of the day. We'll have a press conference with Brian Callahan tomorrow after Austin Stanley and Zach Bingham get it done on the A2Z Sports Morning Show. So, yeah, lock in, keep churning out and reading that Titans content. It helps us out a ton. So we will talk to you later. Titans.